Welcome to Sports Federation TV. My name is Alton Davids. We're chatting about sport, how sport is played, how sport happens in the Metro. Today we got a show. We chat about modern pentathlon and we chat a bit about athletics. Before we get to athletics, we join in studio by Jenny. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Alton.
You well?
Yes, thank you. And you?
Good, good. Man with a top that says it all.
Yeah.
Mr. South Africa.
Yeah.
With the arms to die for.
Really?
Calvin, you well?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Good,
thanks
good.
for having us. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Jenny, modern pentathlon is an interesting sport. Tell us a bit about it. How does it happen? What are the different disciplines?
Modern pentathlon is certainly an interesting sport, and I think we always refer to it as an educational sport. The disciplines are running and swimming, fencing, shooting and show jumping. And we generally start out with the youngsters doing the swim and the run, and ultimately add the other disciplines. And then once they are junior and senior athletes at the age of 19 plus, they will already be competing in the show jumping event. But it takes many years to develop, so start it slowly, one at a time.
So you become proficient in one and then move on to the next one, or do you kind of mix and match as you go along? You
can mix and match. I think generally the athletes are looked for in the swim discipline. Internationally, it seems to be quite the trend. It is one of the harder disciplines to really master at a later age, so the younger they are at swimming, the better. But we have athletes that come from show jumping, also another very difficult discipline to learn, and those are sometimes athletes at an older age, 15 plus, that are show jumping, that will then take on the other disciplines.
Yeah, because I thought you generally start with show jumping because that's quite a specialized skill. Swimming you can learn relatively easily, but show jumping is quite technical and also quite expensive.
Sure.
It is technical and expensive. Then if you look at something like fencing, it generally takes a good number of years to master fencing. Probably I would say 5 to 7 years before you become a really good fencer. So yeah, it's not something you learn overnight, and I think to develop a modern pentathlete is a progression, and you can't be in a great hurry to do it. But ideally, if you've got a really good swim and run background, good base there, then you're well on your way for the rest.
And talk about a modern pentathlete, we've got an SA champ right here. Calvin, tell us a bit about you.
In terms of what, Alton?
Who are you? Why are you wearing an SA vest?
Well, basically, this year I'm not the only South African that's been representing our country overseas. There's been 3 to 4 of us. We've been going and competing on the World Cup circuit, which has been an incredible experience for myself, and I know for the rest of the guys it has been too. We've made really strong friendships between us, and with other countries too. I mean, pentathlon is not a very big sport, so generally the guys that you're seeing from World Cup to World Cup are the same, and you're learning from them, you're getting experience from them, and yeah. So that's what this year is basically entailed. Is in a month's time we have World Champs, which is in Berlin, so it's kind of home ground for myself, since I've been living and training there since last year.
What was your initial interest in this particular code of sport? I mean, where do you come from? What's your background?
I started off in the biathlon scene in Cape Town's Western Province. There's a very strong biathlon age grouping throughout. I progressed then to triathlon and duathlon. I was SA champ there and represented South Africa. And as I got older, I found I was lacking a bit in running and swimming. I wasn't able to compete at the same level as the triathletes. So I tried to find another area in which I could use my ability or my talents. And pentathlon came across. It's a very difficult sport, as Jenny said, to just pick up overnight. But I decided I'd give it a go, see if I could learn how to horse ride, fencing, and the shooting, which were the new sports for me, and started to pick them up and came naturally, so progressed from there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's have a look and see at the footage of what horse riding and fencing is all about. Let's check this out. welcome back. As you can see, the horse riding footage is a young man who's starting to ride. Jenny, tell us a bit about that experience.
Starting to ride?
Yeah.
I think it's quite a scary experience for most.
Yeah.
Most of us.
Yeah.
I only started riding at the tender age of 40 years old.
Sure.
So it was a very scary
there's
experience.
hope for me.
Well, there's hope for you. Yeah, it's all about learning to balance, and that is why these youngsters generally don't leave a lunge ring or a very confined space until they really have balance and learn to control the horse. So that can take quite a good couple of months before they feel comfortable to be left alone to manage the horse by themselves. So
and I mean, those kids come from Kalicha, so where's the closest horse riding area for them to be doing this?
Yeah, we actually have a very good, what do you call it? They're quite NPO called Riding for Africa in Gordons Bay, which is still 20 odd kilometers from Kalicha, but that is one of our closest who are really able to help us, and so they go there on a Saturday morning. We have 4 to 5 of them that learn to ride on Saturdays, and then they go to practice shows as well, also in Gordons Bay generally. Buntu, who's one of our more proficient riders now competing at senior level, learnt the ropes there, and he's really a very competent young man on the horse now.
Okay, let's take a short ad break. We'll see you now. This is Sports Federation TV. We're chatting modern pentathlon. We're joined in studio by Jenny and Calvin. Calvin, so you've traveled now and based in Belgium. Do you compete across Berlin?
Yes, that's right. In Germany, yes.
I thought it was Belgium.
No,
anyway,
yeah.
So what's it like living over there and training over there?
In terms of lifestyle, it's been a big change. I'm very fortunate where I am is one of the better centers for pentathlon around the world. So in terms of training, everything I have is in one facility. So swimming, riding, fencing, gym. We've got a beautiful track and forest right next door for running, and a good shooting range outside and inside. So it is world class. However, it's not the paradise that we enjoy in Cape Town. So winters we were looking at between 0 and -15 degrees. So to wake up in the morning and ride your bike and know that you've got to get into a swimming pool, even though it's indoor, I mean, that's quite a tough process to go through. But it all adds to experience and adds to the drive that motivates me to carry on training and reach my goals. Yeah.
So what made you decide to go and base yourself there as opposed to any other European country?
Well, luckily enough, Jenny had connected us with the guys in Berlin, and Tarquin and myself, another athlete, we ended up going last year to do a training camp there, and the coach Peter Deutsch and myself ended up forming a good relationship, and subsequently to that they allowed me to come back and train there. And it wasn't that there was anywhere else that was better or more suited. It's just that connection, and that's very important between a coach and an athlete. Yeah.
So being based there, has your performance improved?
I'd say so. Particularly in the skill portion of the sport, in particular fencing. I mean, I'm at quite a big disadvantage having not done fencing as long as my counterparts. But going there and being in that competitive environment, I mean, there's Olympic champions and youth world champions and the like, that really motivates you to up your performance. And I've definitely seen that coming back, that hard work has come through. Yeah.
So would you say that going over has given you the edge to compete locally?
I wouldn't say the edge to compete locally, but maybe a different angle coming back. I think it's definitely helped me perform at an international level, whereas I think I may have struggled a lot more to get to that level, still being here. Yeah.
Okay. Jenny, how do we rate internationally as South Africa?
South Africa, unfortunately, for the last, I would say, 8 years or so, we haven't competed internationally too often. We've sent the odd athlete. That is why this year it was quite a drive to make sure that we had a good men's team that could motivate each other. My athletes are currently ranked, trying to think now, I had a look at that yesterday. You know, they're certainly ranked within the top 200 in the world. which is a good start. World Cup rankings, we were from 98 to 104 positions, which is good, you know. So I think it's a matter of continual international competition. That's the way we're going to get all these young men to where they need to be.
Absolutely. You had an awesome weekend this past weekend with the SA Champs. Tell us a bit about that. What was it like?
Well, we decided Western Cape were allowed to host the event this year. We decided to try, because we had 3 of the 4 World Cup athletes within our own province, to really give them the best opportunity that we could. And so we set out to make sure they had the best facilities. So we took it to the University of Stellenbosch. We had heated indoor pools, we had a good fencing facility, and particularly we then took it onto the Kutsenberg track, which gave them a really good fast opportunity. I think the shooting range that we set up was certainly world-class and world-class standard. So yeah, we were all very happy. I think it all looked great, and we've had the feedback that we had one of the best SA championships in a very long while, or possibly ever, I think.
Well done.
So it was great.
Based on what happened this weekend, how does that event compare to what you used to overseas?
Well, in terms of numbers, it obviously is difficult to compare. In terms of facility, I mean, it was top-notch. Our run-shoot, the combined event, was the best, or one of, if not the best, that I've ever taken part in. It was really well-run, really organized. Fencing hall was great. Riding arena was superb. I mean, definitely world-class event. So the only thing I'd say would be different would be the numbers.
What would be the participation levels internationally that you'd participate in?
At a national level, so we're talking German nationals, what would be the numbers? So at our senior level, we're looking at 5, 6 elite athletes. There you'd be looking at going on 12. In the bigger countries, maybe closer to 20. I think the real difference is in the youth A, B, C, D, where you're looking at their talent pool is way larger than what we're dealing with here. And I think that obviously is where the difference in level comes in the senior age groups. Yeah.
And Jenny, I think that's the next level. And I know that you're working on that, on getting more youngsters into the sport.
Yeah,
because that would then translate into, in a few years' time, they're participating at elite level and potentially dethroning this young man.
Correct, yes.
Yes,
we have some very good youth A and some good youth B athletes. The difficulty is that we don't have one training center. So at the moment they're a little bit scattered, and I think once we work towards even maybe 2 in the country, real pentathlon centers, then that is really where you'll see some growth.
Sure.
Or some continued growth, I think. Yeah.
How would you scope a potential center? What would the center need?
Well, I think probably the most important is that you have an indoor hall facility and ideally a heated indoor swimming pool. You know, running one can do in most places, but shooting and fencing has to happen indoors on a good surface for the athletes, and then you need heated water throughout the year. So something like a university facility is definitely, I mean, if I just look at Blue Downs, for instance, the only thing they're missing is a hall.
Yeah.
And if we had a nice small, it doesn't have to be a massive hall. If you had 4-piece down, you could have a fantastic training center, and that is really all we need. So it's not that difficult. So we're starting to scope it out a bit. We had an international delegate here with us for about a month before the SA Championships, and we went and looked at a number of facilities right up to George. Chrysalis Academy area where the ADC center is, Khalicha itself. Unfortunately, the biggest challenge there is not having a heated pool. And so there's a lot of potential. He says we have everything we need. We just need to make it happen.
And will happen as funds and as the need arises and the demand, I guess, from athletes to want to have more facilities.
Correct. Yeah, I think it's important that we grow the base of the sport now, right from the biathlon. The triathlon is a new discipline that was introduced last year, and that we see as one of the biggest growth areas. But you need your indoor in Cape Town, especially in winter, to keep that continuity going.
Absolutely, the water needs to be at 27
It needs to be wonderfully warm. Absolutely correct.
I
Yeah.
mean, even going out and swimming in the Indian Oceans now is not pleasant
No,
at times.
not anymore.
Yep.
No.
So what's next for you, young man?
Well, next, like I said earlier, I'll be heading back to Berlin, to where I'm based, and in a month's time we'll be having our World Championships. Will be a very tough event, and then following that, a month later is the Africa Champs, which is as South Africans our first real shot at Olympic qualification. Yeah.
Okay. Jenny, so talk about qualification. Who won the SA Champs this year?
Who won the SA Champs this year? Baron Berger from the Free State. He's an incredible runner and a very good swimmer. So that's where he started out, was in biathlon. Biathlon also did some triathlon. And he picked it up probably 3 to 4 years ago, started focusing on pentathlon, so he has a couple of years ahead of Cal there. But yes, a very, very talented athlete, and so he won the champs. And Tarkin was second. Calvin had an unfortunate incident on the riding, so otherwise he would have been in that second slot.
Yeah.
So, but that's the way it goes. They
That's
draw a
the
horse.
sport, yeah.
That's the sport, and sometimes it's the luck of the
Yeah.
draw.
It can be a very cruel sport as well as rewarding, and you do learn that, and you know, it needs to happen at some point in your career, and you know, to carry on is the most important thing. Yeah.
The fact that you got so many external variables, there's no way you can control all of them.
Exactly.
And that's the key.
Yeah. And I think why we always refer to pentathlon as an education is because you have to have the utmost respect for your opponent, because you're never going to be the best in all 5.
Yeah.
So you're going to come up against a better runner, better shotist, better fencer. And I think that's why the guys really learn and bond very well, because they learn to respect each other a lot.
Absolutely. Why are you a pro athlete?
In terms of what motivates me?
What motivates you to be a pro athlete and to continue doing it?
There are a number of factors that influence that question. I'd say at the lowest level, it'd be just to see how far I can push myself, mentally, physically. You know, the pentathlon in particular can take you to very dark places in those regards. It's not an easy sport. It requires hours and hours of training each day. But yeah, on a number of levels, it's that. It's to, you know, not sure how else to say it, but you know, you've got family that's involved and they're supporting you and they're proud of you, and you have your own goals that you would like to reach, and your friends that influence you too. I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to a very privileged school, and a lot of my friends are doing well in their lives, and I think we all motivate each other and to keep going forward and pushing the boundaries in that. But I'd say in particular for myself, it's that self-inner drive to just see how far I can go.
And be the better you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Jenny, if people want to know more about modern pentathlon, where do they find out more and get more details?
Well, they can contact me directly, particularly in the Western Province. Then we also have our Facebook pages on Western Province Biathlon, Modern Pentathlon, and on the Western Cape also has a Facebook page. So that is the the easiest way to reach us.
Perfect. So if you're a triathlete and you're looking for something more, as they say, come and try Modern Pentathlon. Who knows, you may be the next SA champ. Guys, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck with Africa Champs.
Thanks very much.
Give it to South Africa proud.
Yeah, I'll do my best. Thank you very much.
Let's take a short ad break. We'll be back with athletics. See you now.